Okay, this is a instructional video of assembling your eROLL before using it and then actually using the product itself. So let's open up the box. Here you have the warranty. Let's move that off. You'll have your PCC, your personal charging case. You have a partially assembled full e-cig, eROLL e-cig. Put that off to the side right there. You have your eROLL user manual, which hopefully you really won't need after watching this video. Hidden below here, we have your two atomizer heads, your wall charger, two empty cartridges, and then finally your USB line. So let's get that on out there. So first, let's look at charging your personal charging case. It's very easy to do. You're going to notice that the unit USB line right here has a connection for USB. You can connect that to anything that you want, up to and including the wall charger that you're looking at. It's very easy. For troubleshooting, what's nice is Joyetech does have a LED light on here, so when you plug this in, that LED light goes green. You know that this portion of the unit is working. If you ever are troubleshooting or are having difficulties with your unit, you then plug this piece on in. Oop, wrong way. There we go. This will then, the mini USB plug will plug into the bottom of the unit. So that just simply be careful making sure which end that it goes into. It does go in a certain way. That plugs in just like that, goes flush, you're good to go. Now you're going to have a light, an LED light that will light up. It will illuminate. It will go red if it is charging, green if it is charged. If you happen to have a e-cig unit in here, that's when you see that secondary light go off and you have the blue. So it's very easy to charge this unit up. I would suggest that you charge it up at night. You're going to know what your habit is more like and when you need to recharge this. Some people may find that they'll, while they're at work or even in a car, they'll just leave it on the charger because this is a on-demand unit that you have. Now, like I said, this little unit that we're looking at here, it's partially assembled. What's missing is the atomizer head, the physical heating element within this. So what you do is you will notice dimples right there. There's one dimple, there's another dimple, and you go counterclockwise and out. And it's not much that needs to be done. You can actually see right there where the channel guides fit. That shows the portion where you're going to be putting your atomizer head on in there. So right now, just to show you all three parts aside, we're going to take the tank cartridge, we're going to put that off to the side. We are going to take your atomizer cover holder, and now I am actually going to show you how you're going to pre-prime. That's right, I would actually like you to pre-prime your eROLL atomizer head before you physically use it. How you do that is pretty simple. Here I have a eROLL head. Now, when you pop this out, technically as per the directions, you can just put this right into the battery and you're good to go. I do not recommend this. The reason I don't recommend this is if an atomizer head, for whatever reason, does not absorb the liquid in a proper manner or very quickly, you can just have it burn out right away. And that's kind of unfortunate. Even though on a DOA type of a thing you can't get it replaced, why have that happen if just by doing a simple step like what we're going to do guarantees that this is going to work out of the box 100% of the time unless there's a manufacturer's error. Now, this atomizer head, I've already pre-primed slightly. And the very top syringe portion right there, there's white wicking. Have a look at your unit right now, your atomizer head. Take it out of the little packaging. Like I said, they're hidden within these little packages that you see right here. Take it out, and now this is where a needle tip type bottle really comes in handy. You can do it with a non one, but this is very suggested. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a drop right there. You saw me put the drop right onto where that wicking is. The secondary thing I can't really show you, but what you do is by holding this, bring the bottom portion up towards your mouth and inhale. So what you're doing is you're forcing that liquid to get pulled back into the atomizer head itself, and all we're doing is making sure that that wicking is primed. It's a very easy, very simple thing to do. Do one drop. I've commonly found that they take just about 2 little drops, and that's all that's needed. Once that's done, put the atomizer head right into the battery. You see it right there. I'll take it out again, put it back in. It's very easy to do. Now you're going to take your atomizer cover. You're going to look at where those dimples were. You're going to line the dimples up with the channel itself. And look at that. Even I think I did that. There we go. Put that down. Turn it clockwise. And just make sure that it clicked clockwise, because if you're doing these steps and it's not working, that could be your issue right there. You just didn't, you pushed it down, but you didn't turn it. Once you turn it, you're forcing that atomizer head to seat properly to get the voltage from the battery itself so that it will work. Your last step, which is pretty easy, again, this is where that needle tip is going to come into play, which is very useful. As per Joyetech, you can just pop off this lid and it will expose the entire thing, and you can fill it up however different way with a dripper or whatever you want to do. However, I've commonly found that they can crack, they can break, whatever it might be there. It doesn't cause the cartridge not to work, but you could have a little bit of a leakage issue. So with this, by keeping this in place with a needle tip, you just stick that needle right on in there, and then you'll notice on the side that you actually have a window, and just fill it on up. And once it's full all the way to the top, insert that into the very top end, and you're good to go. That's all you need to do to get your unit set up. There is another hidden thing that I would like to show you, and this particular is a slightly older eROLL. Here I'm going to show you a newer battery of the eROLLs. They keep changing stuff on Joyetech does all the time. This one has a CE now on there. This particular one does not, so the one that gets shipped to you is probably going to have this. So we're going to look really close here. And if you look, you're going to notice a little hole there, right where my finger's going. That's your air hole. So if you accidentally put your thumb over that and you're inhaling, so like with this full unit here, not watching what I'm doing. If you go to inhale and you don't get a proper inhale, your thumb might be on there. Now, I've noted that you can kind of play with that a little bit too. You can kind of put your thumb lightly over that, and that sometimes gives you a little bit extra airflow, so that is nice. Now, if you're a light user, you should look, it's pretty traditional to be looking at, several weeks, a month, whatever it might be for your atomizer head, and everything's fine. If you're using this thing like a workhorse, you can blow out an atomizer pretty quick. There's 2 things to note as far as leakage goes. 3 things actually. One, your tip, your cartridge can wear out. It's plastic. It's going into metal, the friction back and forth. As we've seen, that atomizer head, it's a piercing that does mate to it. Over time, plastic, just starts to expand. So you can get a little bit of leakage that way. The secondary thing is make sure never to let your cartridge go below 10%. Okay? You let it go below 10% or dry. Well, actually 10%, it's just going to let the liquid out. And that's because the liquid kind of holds itself in place under the weight of the liquid. And once you're under that 10%, as moving it around very quickly, you can kind of let that air into it, and all the liquid will flow out of there. So make sure to keep an eye on that. Also, another thing is when you're using your eROLL, sometimes you're going to notice what appears to be a little bit of like condensation or liquid that's trapped up in there. It's actually from your breath. It's from your mouth. It's the heat, and it is condensation. So that's never an issue to be worrying about. Some people do commonly see that. Now, like I said, we had the 2 issues that I was talking about. The third with leakage is if you just leave this sit for a very long time, there's an air hole here. There is a slight small opening. Of course, it's very small and it'll take a very long time, but again, 2 or 3 days, literally just a drip of liquid, it will appear to cover the entire unit. So that is one of those things to just kind of note, everybody. And that is your eROLL as far as putting it together and using it. Once you have it, make sure all the time, click it on in there whenever you're not using it. You want that on-demand charge, and then you have the small button right here that'll force this very top end up a little bit so it's easy to pull out of your case all the time. Another thing that some people do miss on the eROLL is there's actually a little piece of plastic that is on the outer cases on both sides, and if you just take your finger you can pull that off, or some people choose to keep that on there for a long time and it does protect it. But if you do that, let's say maybe after 3 months or 4 months, all of a sudden you're noticing it looks a bit scratched up, you can then just peel that off and voila, it looks like a brand new unit again. So this is the eROLL. I hope that this instructions were useful for you. The last thing I want to leave you with before we stop this instructional video is atomizer failure and how to tell if your atomizer has failed. You're going to have three things happen. One possibility of three things happening. One is a burnt taste in the back of your mouth. A burnt taste is the wicking itself in the atomizer has burnt out, and that is where you're getting a burnt taste from. The second one is where it fails to convert the liquid into vapor, and you're going to get a little bit of liquid on your lips. That is saying, hey, the atomizer needs to be changed. The third one is actually the worst one for a user, and that's a very slight decrease of the unit, the head, the heating element itself. What happens is, it was working at 100%, now it's at 95, now it's at 90, now it's at 70. So you're still getting vapor, you're still getting flavor, but you're not getting that full sensation that you used to. Well, it's probably, odds are very good that you need to replace your atomizer head. So atomizer heads are never made to last forever, folks, so you do need to change those. And that's what I'm going to leave you with.